I would like to bring our special guest to the stage. He's a great colleague of mine, hailing from up north, Mr. John Hetherington, and he's the CEO of a company called We Deliver Your Vision. And I'm very excited to be connected with him because he's a master of many things, but he's an expert when it comes to technology, AI, and integration. And we're going to get in, the topic today wasn't much on post M&A integration, and how you integrate companies from a technology standpoint, but hopefully we get into that in a little bit. A little bit on John. I'll let John share a little bit about his background, but John is the CEO and founder of We Deliver Your Vision. He has over 10 years of experience as a strategy consultant with Deloitte and Ernst & Young, and 25 years in the technology industry. John excels in delivering large-scale strategic transformations with agility. His extensive work with international companies and his no-nonsense British approach makes him a trusted advisor in the fields of AI and business productivity. So, John, welcome to Off the Record with KyleSellsBiz, my friend.
Hey, thanks, Kyle. I've just got back from a business trip to the UK, so I might be a little bit more British today.
That's okay, man. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to your session today. I mean, I was excited for this topic. I think it's the first time we're doing anything on AI. I don't know what took us so long, man.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's such a strong tidal wave that's coming at us. You can't not see a headline daily on AI and either how it's going to destroy humans or it's going to promise millions in business. So I'm really looking forward to our conversation today because we can cut through a lot of that and get to the real nitty gritty about how some of your clients and financial services can really use AI to make a difference.
Definitely. And I do really believe if you don't jump on the bandwagon, you're going to be left behind. When it comes to scaling your company, there's a lot of ways that you can utilize the technology. A good friend of mine, good colleague of mine, he's also in the same space I'm in, Trent Lee. I'm going to take, and Trent, if you listen, I'm stealing your quote, okay? So you want to combine high tech with high touch. So you want to use technology, but at the same time, still have the high touch where the client is still knowing that you're as a person that's actually working with them and a trusted advisor. So, yeah. Hey, let's start things off. Usually this is off the record, so we're very, no casual. Nothing here is scripted. But I do love the audience to get a feel for your background, your journey. Everybody has their journey of where they were and where they are today. So, if you don't mind sharing with the audience, what got you to this point where you're expert in AI technology and business transformation?
Yes, for sure. So I'm a bit of a nerd, a geek, always have been ever since I was a young lad. I love radio controlled cars and Commodore 64 for anyone in the audience who remembers those. And I love reading user guides and instruction manuals. So that led me into electrical engineering and then went into my first job in financial services. And that's when I got my first taste of AI, actually. It was a black box for insurance products. We were doing quotes back in the early 2000s. And I just love the way you can type on a keyboard and get technology computers to do stuff. I still find it magical, the way we can just effectively command things to do other things through the power of our keyboards and minds. And that's where I love AI, because it's becoming more and more powerful. So with that first experience in the black box of producing insurance quotes, I had a valuable lesson, actually, to your point around the people behind selling, because we were producing quotes really fast. We actually increased revenue, but customer satisfaction came down, because the company I was working for was known as the Friendly Society. And we were actually taking away that interaction with the advisors and the financial services people. And so the customers were actually not liking this. They actually preferred that interaction. So that was a really good value lesson for me.
Interesting. I love that. I'm still fascinated about technology, and I know there's physics when it comes to planes taking off on land. I'm still amazed how planes, all those tons of weight gets off of the runway. So, technology is moving fast, man, and it's kind of tough to keep up. So let's kind of jump into this here. So, what are some of the most significant ways AI is currently transforming businesses? We can probably start right there.
Yeah, for sure. So just to set up a scene for that as well, for because again, it comes down to people. People like working with people, and that's why I set up my business called We Deliver Your Vision, because I had the vision of moving from the UK to Canada. My wife's a cancer survivor. She's gone through cancer twice, actually, believe it or not. So she's really strong, but that really shook us up to say, hey, we need to take life by the balls and get going. So we had a vision to get to Canada, set up my own business and grow the business, which we're doing now. And that vision applies to your point around how do companies use AI. You start with that vision, that goal, that target of what you want to achieve, and then bring in the technology. Because the beauty of AI, it makes it so much easier to interact with technology. And for anyone who's not used AI, we'll cover the broad spectrum here. We'll cover those
Sure.
who've not used AI all the way through to people who have used AI.
And by the way, we're going to do a Q&A at the end, but be
Cool.
sure to drop your comments, because we can see your comments here. So whatever platform you're on, be sure to drop your comments, and we can see them, and we would definitely get to your questions. I know we probably should get a lot of questions in this topic, so go ahead, John.
Yeah, drop in the questions. Looking forward to making this interactive with you folks. So yeah, so as a result of AI being more interactive with technology, the first thing to do is see it as almost a co-worker, your interactive creative writing partner as a start point with AI. And that could be as easy as using ChatGPT or Copilot. They're free tools. Copilot is available on pretty much every Windows laptop and PC these days. And you can just use it as an advanced search. And that advanced search can then surface more information around your business. So if you're doing a integration or looking at acquiring a company, you can say, hey, I'm a small business owner looking to acquire or expand and grow into the North American market, and I'm looking at acquiring this financial services company. What should I look out for? What factors should I consider when assessing this deal? And then it will trawl the internet and all the data it's got access to come up with some steps, procedures. And that's probably the first easiest way to get a quick win from AI.
That's pretty interesting. It says, think about if you were to have like the brightest minds sitting in front of you, right? The Warren Buffetts of the world. You call a name if whoever you review and read their books, right? And there's one thing I always learned, that the better your question, the better response. So the same thing with if you utilize in ChatGPT, then the prompt engineering, right?
Yeah.
You have to really tailor your question to really get the answer you want to help you out, whatever you're looking, whatever your objectives are. Right.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up, Kyle, because prompt engineering is the new way to interact with programming, computers, technology, and that's what's going to happen. That's when we talk about the future of AI. It is all around. It's going to become much more conversational, but conversations are effectively prompts for the AI. They're instructions, and the better your prompting, the better your conversation. To your point, better questions, better answers. So the first thing to look at when we're starting with AI is look at how you ask the question. If you think about Google, everyone's used Google. You start with, find me a business plan for a financial services company. That's a quick Google search term. But with AI, you want to make it much more, give more context. The prompt engineering is helping you give it context to give you a better result. So it might say, give me a business. I'm looking to acquire a financial services company. I want to create a business plan for a small, medium business of a revenue of $50 million in the Houston area, that serves typically medium clients of 50 years old who like to play golf or whatever it is. But again, the more context, the more prompts you can give it, the better the answer you'll get.
Yeah, I love the analogy of searching for a company and getting some feedback on steps and business plans. For companies, ongoing companies, current going concerns that are in business today that are looking to scale and grow their company, what are some key ways that they can utilize this new well, it's not new anymore, but AI and technology as a whole to improve their business and make it more valuable for a potential sale?
Yes, well, I don't know if you realize, but you actually answered your own question by saying, let's start with AI by saying, how can I scale my business?
Yeah,
What
this to take
market
what I
shall
said and put it in.
Exactly. But this is where we get into the iterations, and this is where we get into the true. We talked about the prompts, and that's the prompt to say, how do I scale my business? Then you get into the engineering part, because once you put in that question or that context of, hey, I want to scale my business and increase revenue to 100 million in the next 5 years using these financial services product or whatever it is, it'll come back with an answer which probably won't be right. It will probably be good, but not quite there. And that's where the engineering comes in. That's where you need to then look at that and say, okay, building on this, or this answer's good, but I want you to focus on the first 3 bullet points and then ignore the second 2. Or sometimes it's this answer's just not right. Please redo this and add some more context. But the prompt engineering comes in with provide a step-by-step process for reviewing a business, provide a step-by-step process for scaling my business. You have to give it context and
Yeah.
structure.
When I speak with clients, like the first step usually is an evaluation and assessment of their company. When it comes to using AI, you want to kind of break it up in chunks. You don't want to kind of throw everything at it. So let's say you do an evaluation or assessment and you determine that, hey, my weakness is my financials or operations, or not having key personnel, or have issues with contracts, compliance. I mean, you name all the issues. Essentially, I'm not the expert you are, but I'm thinking taking an overview of your company, your vision, and what your company is about, putting that to at least training the bot so they know what your company does, the products and services you provide, and then add the issue. So let's say I have an employee that's stealing business, sending business to another competitor. How do I handle that? Do they need training? Do I need to get rid of this employee? And using this as an advisor, so to speak, to get right actions. Ideally, you want to consult with the right experts, right? But it does kind of, at least you do the initial groundwork to get the process going before you bring in the experts to advise you.
Yes, exactly. So you'd frame that as what are some tips or guidance around the conversation I would have this member of staff around some concerns I have with them flowing business to another company. So then it will at least give you some ideas. Again, like you say, Kyle, you have to go through legal, go through HR to make sure you're doing this in the right way.
Right.
But it just gives you, again, I always go back to it's your co-worker, it's your creative writing partner. It starts the thought process around what you need to do. And people always worry about AI taking your job. And I love the phrase of AI will take your job to the next level, because it'll help you build your skills and give you areas you hadn't thought of. It's never going to truly replace you, but it will replace you if you don't use it, because it will really enhance your job and your career and your business to take it to the next level.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I have some colleagues that own agencies, and they have cut back. They have utilized, ChatGPT and other types of related software to help in their creative writing and creative. So essentially, you're launching a new product, right? And you want to get some feedback and brainstorming, right? So essentially, as opposed to hiring or spending money to get these surveys and polls and bringing in outside folks for your session, you can utilize the software, right, and cut back. So there are ways you can save money. At the same time, I do believe there's value in what each human brings, and there's ways you can utilize your talent, your team in different ways, because you don't want to just take the prompts at its word, right? You do want to do some fact checking and reviewing, and you need some person to do that, right?
Yeah, trust and verify. Two words you absolutely need in this day and age, especially with AI, because if we look at ChatGPT, it's very, very powerful. It's built on internet data, but it's also built on internet data. So as a result, if you can imagine, it's also scanning all the Reddits and the Facebook. And would you take business advice from Facebook or Reddit? And it's like, maybe not. So hence, you do need to check and balance it. It's getting better. And that you're starting to touch on another key area of how AI is used. So we're talking about the three tools, ChatGPT, Copilot, but then you get into the large language models, which is where it's training on your data, your company data. So if you've been in business a long time, or you want to have specific access to specific data, you can actually get access to large language models built on a specific ecosystem of data, and that'll give you much more accurate, specific results. So for example, we talked about ChatGPT. There's also Tax GPT, and that's just trained on tax information. So if anyone's curious about tax code in the UK, in the US, and legislation, you can go to Tax GPT and just search the tax codes. So then now we're talking about specific areas of data that it's searching.
Yeah, I love that. Let's make a note of that. Let's jump into some practical applications. So as it's kind of segue, and you mentioned Tax GPT. So I own a plumbing company, and I want to utilize. Are you with me? I want to utilize technology to improve my revenue. Right? What are some? Give me an example of some practical applications I can utilize to improve my revenue and growth of my company.
Yeah, so the first thing, I always go to sales. And I love the fact that I'm not a natural salesman. I've had to learn a lot of skills in business around doing that, but it is fundamental. We are all inherently selling people. I actually just finished a book. It's by Dan Pink, called To Sell Is Human. And he talks around reframing sales as moving people. You're moving people from one place to another. and it's a better place. You're helping them invest time and resources to help them do something better. So when we talk about a plumbing business wanting to increase revenue, or any other business, I always start with, how do you serve your customer? How do you increase your sales? And there's a couple of great ways to do that with AI. There's a couple of tools which will record your conversations, your sales conversations, your customer service conversations, and they'll give you real-time feedback on, are you being empathetic? Are you talking too much? Have you followed the script? Because you've told it the script you need to follow, the key points. And it's giving you real-time feedback in the corner of the screen saying, talk less, ask more questions, be more empathetic, be more specific. And I love those tools that actually help you interact better and provide better customer service and ultimately increase sales.
Oh, what's the name of that application?
Yeah, for sure. So there's actually a couple to choose from. So let me just make sure I get the exact right one. So the one I really like is the where is it here? The Cogito. Cogito is one of the really good ones. Then Chatbase as well. And I've also used Voxel, and I can put a link in the comments around these tools.
So I know, in the old school days in sales, you would have the sales supervisor or manager kind of listen to calls and then giving critique, right? You're making your sales call and you're getting some feedback after the call's done. So essentially using a bot essentially to review your cadence, the questions you ask, how empathetic you are, compassionate, and how you're overcoming objections and so on. So
exactly, it's real time. It's with you, and that's what we've got to remember, is that AI is just accelerating the interaction. It's making access to you mentioned earlier around having access to infinite amount of knowledge. It's giving that access much instantaneously. It's incredibly quick, and that's what I love about it. It's very powerful, but you have to use it in the right way. And to your point, trust and verify.
And any of the tools that you have in your toolbox you've helped clients with?
Yeah. So once we've got the sales going, the customer service, we've started to increase revenue. Then with any business, you always then move to the operations. How do you fulfill orders? How do you get the orders out the door? How do you manage inventory and operations? And that's where the first thing you do, and that's where we focus and we deliver your vision, is when we're increasing revenue or goals of a company, we always look at the operations, the processes. Because typically a company has inherited processes or you've created processes, but as you grow, they're not always the best process. Yeah. And that's where I like a tool like Scribe, for example, which will automatically record a process for you. So when you're going through a screen between, say, entering your accounting system for the reporting, the product inventory, to sales, to the fulfillment, it will record that, and then it will break it down into screenshots, key steps, who does what. And you can create a process flow and say, okay, is this the most efficient process or the best way to do this end-to-end transaction for fulfilling a customer order, for example? And we focus a lot on financial reporting. We typically find, at least on an average of about a 15 to 20 day financial reporting cycle, we can often save 2 to 3 days just by reducing the number of approvals or consolidating some of the review methods that they're looking at some of the financial reporting. But all that starts with capturing that process end to end.
So walk us through it, right? So I own XYZ company. Like, walk us through what that assessment looks like from initial, give us an example maybe of a client you've worked with and how you've helped them using technology and AI.
Yeah, for sure. So just thinking, there's quite a lot of examples to think about. Probably the best one is around the creating better customer service again. So when we were looking at the customer sales, we reviewed, one of the clients called me in to say customers are complaining about late shipment or wrong orders. So again, customers and clients that we work with always have an idea of what the problem is, but I always make sure we identify the true problem, because sometimes the problem is not the problem. And this is a great example, right? I think, and we should always ask ourselves this. That's why I love the 5 whys, Ishikawa, root cause analysis, which you can do in ChatGPT as well, by the way. Yeah. But always start with that problem, okay, and then deep dive into, okay, is it a sales thing? Is it an operations thing? Is it an inventory thing? Is it a pricing problem? And what we found is that the sales team were actually selling product that wasn't in stock, but they didn't know that. Wow. So they were selling product to customers. Customers were expecting delivery. It didn't happen because the inventory product wasn't in stock, which then caused delays. So by using AI, we actually transcribed that process. We saw this lack of communication between departments. We then use Power BI. So for anyone who has Microsoft, which is pretty much most people, they'll have access to Power BI, which is an awesome analytics reporting tool in the Microsoft suite. Also have Automate, which is another AI tool. But we use Power BI to collect the data from the accounting system, from the sales system, from the inventory system, consolidate it, and then set a daily report to the sales team to say, hey, this is your current stock levels. Sounds really obvious. Why wouldn't the sales team know the stock levels? But in this case, they didn't. But by having that, they could then make sure they sold the product that was in stock, or said, okay, if it's not in stock, it takes extra time. And that eliminated most, if not all, of the customer complaints. AI identified the peaks and troughs in when the inventory was coming in, where what most products were being ordered, and the trends around what people were asking for. And that's where we could then streamline the inventory management as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, I love this job because it's all about, it's the Sherlock Holmes of business. You go in and you're uncovering problems, and then to the point about moving people, we talked about, to sell is human. I love the fact that we can help move people to a better place by these aha moments with a bit of investigation and research.
How involved do you get in the process from a software development side of things? I know you're utilizing AI, but are you pretty much doing everything full service? So you're building out the back end bots and so on, and connecting all their systems together and using some bot to track, and you mentioned Scribe and some other tools to track their processes and improve them?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So we'll start, it depends on the maturity of the business and where they are. So if it's a large enterprise, we'll bring in the specialists to deal with integrations between SAP and Maximo to Workday. Those are usually some specific traffic management tools between the systems. But if it's a smaller business, smaller, medium-sized business, working with QuickBooks and Salesforce, for example, or maybe just HubSpot and even Excel. I mean, it's amazing how many companies still work on Excel. It's a good tool, but you need to make sure you use the data in the right way. And we manage that end-to-end process in terms of linking all those systems together, applying AI, and then we'll bring in specialists as needed. And the key role I like to play in with my team is we help you manage your vendors as well. So maybe you actually have a great relationship with a vendor, maybe it's HubSpot or Salesforce or SAP. We can help you get the most of that company for the AI they probably already have available in their tools today, and you're just not leveraging that. So we help you because you're busy, you've got a business to run, and that's where we come in to help manage that through and get the best from your vendors that you have now.
Fantastic. We're chatting today with a good colleague of mine, John Hetherington, CEO and founder of We Deliver Your Vision on Off the Record with KyleSellsBiz. We probably got another 10 minutes or so to go. If you have any questions, comments, be sure to enter them in the chat. That way we can get a hold of you. I respond to your questions in real time. Let's talk about some of the challenges, because most people are like the fun things. Hey, people are aware of AI and the innovations, but there are some folks that are slow to adopt, right? So let's talk about some of the obstacles and maybe some of the challenges businesses have in adopting new technologies.
Yeah,
and how they overcome them.
Yeah, it's a great question as well. The probably the two main questions I get is how much does it cost, and why do I need it? I know it's there, I know it's a big deal, but it's in the future. I can deal with that later. So in terms of the objections, the other one is it will take my job, and I don't need it, and I'm scared for losing my job. And my answer to that is jobs will change. I mean, I'm not going to hide the fact that this is a wave of technology, which is probably the fastest wave of technology coming at us ever. If we think about the developing tools and the wheel all the way through to the Industrial Revolution and digital transformation and internet of the 90s into 2000s with the social media, in AI, we had near enough about, in the last 18 months, it was about 1 billion users of AI. Because, I mean, ChatGPT had several 100 million. But if you think about all of the users of AI, we're talking about billions of people. And that's huge in just the last 18 months. So the point there is it is coming. It is a tidal wave. So yes, it's scary and can create uncertainty. But just start understanding it, looking at it, read the news headlines, start with ChatGPT, start playing with it. And then we can get into some of the other objections like around the cost. And it can be free to start if you use ChatGPT Copilot for prompt engineering. That's free, it just takes time. So there is an investment of time and training. So it's not money. But then when you get into large language models, the APIs, integrating your systems, that can be anything from 20 to 150 grand. Then you get into the big enterprise scale, dedicated large language models, which are 500,000 plus. So that's the range of costs that you're looking at.
So just starting from the folks that are just getting involved, that are now catching on, what are some good resources, or maybe blogs or articles, or knowledge bases that it can follow to kind of get up to speed?
Yeah, I love Prompts Daily is a daily newsletter. I love that one. I pretty much use that daily. And then there's another one called the Rundown AI. Those are two great newsletters. They're daily, so you have to be a bit aware of inbox overwhelm. But even if you just look at those once a week or go to the websites, those
I
are
would go
good.
crazy, John. My biggest pain point is email. Like you just message me, like text me is the best way. Email,
yes, exactly.
You get too many emails. So the Prompt Daily, I need like a weekly or monthly digest.
Yeah, exactly. And even if you just go to it once a week is good enough. And by the way, with the new Microsoft Copilot tools, it will summarize emails. So you can say, go through my inbox, summarize which ones are the key points, the more urgent messages. And it's starting to get, it's not perfect, but it's getting better and better every day. To then say, okay, I was away on vacation. I came back to several hundred emails. I asked Copilot to say, quickly scan my inbox, see which ones are most important, which ones I need to deal with. So it's searching for urgent, or a date deadline that's coming up today, or a person I interact with a lot, and or a client I'm working with, and it surfaces those to the top and says, here are the top 5 you need to deal with first. And it wasn't far off what I would have done. And
Copilot works with Outlook?
Yes, correct. So Copilot is the Microsoft version of ChatGPT. So it's also, if you use Bing search, if anyone uses that as opposed to Google, it's the back end of Bing. But you can load it onto the desktop on your Windows 11 if you have Windows 11.
I'm doing that today.
Yeah, it's very, very powerful.
Yeah.
And you can use that, and then you can, I think you need you do need the Office 365 subscription to do it if you just have the local download, but most people do. And then you can you'll see it in the top bar, but it also works for PowerPoint, for Word, can help you create PowerPoint designs, help you even write Word documents, communications as well. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, there's so many tools available. We're trying to figure out which one makes sense. Like when all this advancing in AI technologies, everyone's like kind of jumping on the bandwagon, and just everyone's like a thought authority and sharing information. But I do like Prompt Daily and Rundown Daily. I'll check that out.
So you touch on a really good point, because FOMO, fear of missing out, is not an AI strategy. I mean, don't get me wrong, everyone needs to be aware of it and start looking at it and investigating it. But I always do that because it's a good way to get started. But I always go back in any technology. It doesn't have to be AI. It could be a new upgrade for a system. Is what is your goal, your target, your vision for the company? So if you're looking to increase revenue or go into new markets, the AI or the upgrade of your system is probably just one component of that. Because then you're going to need to make sure you have the right team, people involved, the training. Do you have the right access to markets? So you're looking at a holistic picture of technology is only one of 5 key components you need for any business change or goal. So to your point around where do I start is, dabble, experiment, play around with it, absolutely. But when we're talking about business, if it's I want to reduce my financial reporting by 3 days, that's a technology enabler, but also is the process good? Are the people have the skills? Is there a management problem? You have to look at it holistically.
Well, I wanted to segue to the future of AI, but recently a feed came to my LinkedIn, and I'm not familiar with this company, but I'm sure you are. It's called Scale.io, and they just raised $1 billion financing for their company, and they have a valuation of $13 billion.
Wow!
Which, when you think about it, is insane. Are you familiar with Scale AI?
I'm not actually. What do they do? I'm assuming they scale businesses by the name of it.
I think they're like the back-end data foundry for various AI services. So they do like the back-end data aggregation and so on. So I was doing some research on it, but I figured out, what I'll do, I will send you a link after this, because I would like to get your input.
And I'd love to look at that as well, because the thing is,
to raise $1 billion, I mean, that's like insane.
It is, and it is very much for anyone who lived through the dot-com boom in the early 2000s. We are in that stage of there's a lot of businesses coming to market. There is a lot of freeware, vaporware, where they have a website saying coming soon to this amazing AI product. It sounds like this one actually has some products, which is awesome. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
again,
just put the link in the comments there so you can grab it.
Yeah, again,
I want to dive into this because this is this is common. If investors are willing to invest this amount in in a AI company, it's here, right? So let's talk about the future of AI. Like what trends do you see, and what further impact business revenue? How can it further impact business revenue and productivity based upon the trends we're seeing?
Yeah, so I mean, so for trends in it, so I'm actually towards the end of last year, beginning this year, I actually saw a bit of dissatisfaction with AI because we'd gone through that hype back in November 2022 and into 2023. Everyone was really excited about AI. It's amazing. It's going to solve all our problems and make us all rich. And then towards the end of 23, early 24, people were like, is it really? I still got a day job to run. So we're now just starting to come out of that maturity and starting to get products and that it actually makes sense, and people are understanding how best to use AI. So in terms of the future, we're still talking about generative AI, which is where it uses data to create predictions and patterns and give you a response. So it's, like I said, advanced search. The next big revolution around AI is general AI, artificial general intelligence. So this is where we're not prompting it. It's actually starting to think for itself. It's actually starting to come up with answers and be more creative, and doesn't need that human direction. So then you get into, okay, will it take over the world and kill humans? And I truly believe it will not. I think artificial intelligence will realize that the best progress is made through collaboration and human engineering, and we are creators of it. So to recognize that. But yeah, it's all going to come down to that much more natural language, prompt engineering conversations.
And then there's also these agents, right? You're calling customer service for name your company, and you think you're speaking with a human. Lately, most of the outsourcing has been done to other countries, right? Outside of the US. But now outsourcing is done to AI and bots and agents. And I've heard some demos, and I mean, extremely realistic. You would not know that you're speaking with a computer. It's insane.
Yeah, and I love the fact that the bot or agent will have access to way more information than you will ever have, and it has instant access to the best information. So in terms of getting answers, that's amazing. That's awesome. In terms of empathy, in terms of understanding the context, it's still got a bit of ways to go, but it's getting there. So to your point around agents or AI agents, yes, they can be very frustrating. They don't listen properly. It doesn't give you the right answers, but it will evolve. It is getting there. And again, see it as another tool in your business service.
What's that called?
Sorry, which
you said, Sid?
No, I didn't mention a tool there. It was just talking about the how it could help with research. Yeah, I can look up a couple of tools around that. There's one of the other ones I was using recently with a client. We talked about chat-based.
These agents, I actually prefer that over the ones that just give you two options. Like you're trying to speak to customer service and say option one is whatever, option two, go back to the main menu. It's like none of the options is what you want. So if the agent can actually give me some information in real time and help me out.
Exactly. That's the thing. You need it to give that empathy, that context for those unique, even just that conversation. That's what's happening. It's become much more conversational. So if you don't take away anything from this, is just think around how AI will become more conversational in future.
Yeah, I mean, nothing could beat true relationship building. I mean, connect with someone on a personal, human level is going to take some time to get to that point. But as you wind down here, I did put John's information in the chat, and you have mine as well. Any questions or feedback? But what are some of your closing thoughts and key takeaways? Anything you want to share as far as that we may not have covered that you would like to share with the audience? And also, if you have you mentioned your book, if anything that's coming up, events you want to talk about it as well.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, the book's in progress. I'm feverishly writing that at the moment. And yeah, for anyone wants to follow,
and you're writing that, right? Not chat.
Not ChatGPT. I'm using it for inspiration around the structure, but yeah, there's the element of my content I'm putting in there for sure. But yeah, I post on LinkedIn most days. I run also tech leadership around. We actually work through business case studies with businesses' real world problems. So we do training in a slightly different way. We do tech leadership training on a business problem you have. So it's not classroom training, it's hands-on coaching-based training to actually work through a business problem, which might be increase revenue or acquire a new company. And there are various training grants available for that as well. So we're just starting to ramp up the business on that side. And then the other thing is around leaving the audience. I would say just be curious. Like at the end of the day, yes, AI is coming out as hard and fast. It's not the be all and end all. We still have a business to run. We still have to unload the dishwasher and get the kids to school. But it's an important part of business. So in our day to day, if there's any ways we can use that to save time, to give us more time to spend with our families and friends, that's always a bonus in my view. But if nothing else, just be curious. Just reach out there, do some research once a week, and understand what the options are and the possibilities.
I'm wondering, John, and I'm thinking, I'm watching the screen here, so we are both having a lovely discussion on AI and technology. I'm wondering, a couple of months or a year from now, it's like I could probably be in Hawaii and have my my bot here actually doing these interviews, and you could probably be in Bali and being interviewed by.
Yes, exactly.
Wow,
Yeah,
it's not that far fetched. Yeah,
I know exactly. One day, and that's the thing. Then business is going to change. I don't quite know what to at that point, but yeah, the traditional way we interact will absolutely change because the repetitive action. I actually think this is actually going to build out more of the human element. I think people are going to see the AI generated content, and it's always going to be good, but not great. And I think it's almost going to go back to that imperfect, the human connection that's actually going to make business really grow.
And it's funny, you made a good point. It actually leads into one takeaway I was going to share is that even though you have all of these advances in technology and innovation, it's like nothing really beats that human element, right? So
yes.
If everyone is going tech, and you still utilize some aspect of technology, but you have that human element where you upscale your customer service, where you're sending handwritten cards, right? You're making personal calls just to check in how you're doing and checking in your clients. Just doing things a little bit of the old school way, like you stand out from the competition.
Exactly. And it goes back to my first early career lesson I mentioned at the beginning of our show around. We created an AI black box for automating product quotes, insurance quotes, which customer service went down. So there is always a market for people who want to go online and create a quote themselves. Absolutely. But our customer base at the time valued that human interaction. So if anything, we then span off that business as an automated quote company and increased the customer service, the interaction with humans, and that boosted the revenue on the customer service side.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a wonderful discussion, John. For those that are listening to the audio or the recording and not privy to the script, the comments here right now, how can people get a hold of you, and what's the best way that folks can get in touch with you, John?
Yeah, the best way is follow me on LinkedIn. I post most days on technology trends and leadership and AI prompts and ideas there. But you can also reach out to my name and my company, so john@wedeliveryourvision.com.
Yeah, I love that. We deliver your vision. I love the name of your company, because that's what it all started with, your vision.
Exactly. It's like we had a vision to come to Canada, set up my own business and grow. And now I love the idea of helping. We help other people realize their visions and use technology to enable their vision. So ultimately spend more time with whatever their goal is, be it grow the business or more time with your family and friends or take more vacations.
Yeah, it's a fantastic story. Wonderful. Hey, John, it's a pleasure having you on. I know we're going to have you back again because this technology is always evolving. We didn't even talk about Meta and talking about avatars and all that good cool stuff. But it's a pleasure having you on, John, and thank you again for being a guest. And until
really
next time. Appreciate it. Appreciate you and appreciate your time. Our next guest is going to be a colleague of mine based in Florida. His name is Claudio Vilas, and he specializes in selling roofing companies. So if you are in the construction business, roofing in particular, We're going to talk about some key ways how to get your business sold pretty quickly. So you can talk a lot about that particular industry. So looking forward to that session. Until then, thank you all for joining Off the Record with Kyle Sells Biz. And until next time, take care.
Yep.
Thanks,
Cheers,
John.
folks. Cheers. Bye now.